Welcome back to Future AI Paper Review. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this book, The AI Act and the Agile Safety Plan. Super, super timely, given that the EU's AI Act just went into effect.
Right.
So,
big day.
it is a big day.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're building, the next big thing in AI.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, some game-changing healthcare application or, a
Yeah.
self-driving car. But you also don't want to end up breaking the law.
Of course.
So this book is all about kind of navigating those regulations while still innovating quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a practical guide, especially for those of you creating systems classified as high risk under the Act.
Right, like those healthcare applications, those self-driving cars.
Yeah.
What really struck me was that this book, it's not just theoretical.
Right.
It's grounded in, real-world projects that the authors worked on with funding from the Norwegian Research Council.
Right.
They're basically trying to create like a minimum viable product for safety standards themselves, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. What's fascinating is they recognize the need for speed in a landscape that's changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
And they aim to get these safety guidelines out quickly and efficiently and make them usable for everyone, from large corporations to nimble startups.
Okay, so let's say like you're a startup founder with a brilliant idea for a simple AI assistant, but you've got these, big dreams for its future.
Right.
Maybe it starts as helping people schedule appointments.
Yeah.
But evolves to manage their entire calendar and even anticipate their needs.
Yeah.
How do you build that safely from day one?
Yeah.
Knowing that it might become more complex and potentially fall into those high-risk categories later on.
That's a crucial question, and the book really tackles it head-on with the concept of an agile safety plan.
Okay.
And it bridges the gap between those fast-paced, iterative, agile development methods you often see in startups and the strict safety regulations that are now becoming essential, especially in the EU.
So to put it simply, an agile safety plan helps developers ensure their AI systems, can get certified under the AI Act.
Yes.
Without having to sacrifice that speed and flexibility that's so crucial for innovation.
Precisely. And it helps you meet the regulatory requirements while still allowing you to iterate, learn, and adapt as you go. The book even lays out 59 specific agile practices.
Wow.
Things like daily scrums and the MVP approach.
Yeah.
That can be adapted for projects where safety is absolutely critical.
That's so interesting. It's like taking those tools from the fast-paced world of software development and applying them to this new landscape where AI safety is paramount.
Yeah.
The book then dives into some key concepts for building safe AI. And the first one is this, description of system, or DOS.
Right.
It sounds a bit technical. What's the gist of that?
Yeah. Think of the DOS as a detailed blueprint of your AI.
Okay.
What is its exact purpose? What are its core functions? And how does it fit into the overall ecosystem it'll be operating in?
Okay, got it. So like a comprehensive user manual, but for the AI itself rather than the end user.
That's the way to put it, yeah.
And then there's this operational design domain, or ODD, which also sounds kind of intimidating.
The ODD is all about defining where your AI is allowed to operate safely.
Okay.
Imagine you're developing a delivery robot, right? Its ODD might specify that it's only allowed on sidewalks, not roads, and only during daylight hours, right?
Got it.
It's all about setting those clear boundaries for your AI.
So like setting virtual fences for your AI to make sure it doesn't stray into territory where it hasn't been tested or might encounter, unexpected situations.
Precisely.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
And finally, there's the concept of operations, or ConOps.
Right.
And
that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, yeah.
The ConOps is the how of your AI system, right?
Okay.
So if the DOS is the what and the ODD is the where, the ConOps outlines how your system will actually be used.
Okay.
It's like a movie script for your AI, detailing the interactions between the system, its users, and the environment.
Okay. Give me an example. I'm very visual.
Okay, sure. Let's stick with that delivery robot.
Okay.
The ConOps might describe how the robot navigates sidewalks, how it interacts with pedestrians, what happens if it encounters an obstacle, and even how the end user interacts with it to receive their package.
Got it.
It's about considering all those real-world interactions.
That's really helpful. So it's not just about the code.
Right.
But about how that code manifests in the real world.
Yeah.
The interactions it has, and even the people involved.
Absolutely.
And the book stresses that these concepts, the doubts, ODD, and ConOps, they're not just one-time things.
No, not at all.
They need to be reassessed
Right.
as the system learns and evolves.
Right. And that's especially true in AI.
Makes sense.
It's an ongoing process, not a static document. The environment changes, the AI learns, and you might even expand the AI's capabilities.
Right.
So you need to adjust your safety plans accordingly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having, a teenager who starts driving, right?
Sure.
You might give them very limited freedoms at first.
Yeah.
But as they gain experience and they show responsibility, you might adjust those boundaries.
Uh-huh.
Now, I know this book doesn't just stay at the high level.
Oh.
It gets into the nitty-gritty of hardware and software too, right?
It does, and I think that's what makes it so valuable. It bridges that gap between theory and practice.
Yeah.
For instance, it emphasizes choosing the right hardware for your AI, especially if you're building custom components. Did you know that over 90% of hardware products fail their first electromagnetic compatibility, or EMC, test?
Whoa, 90%. That's a scary statistic.
Yeah.
What exactly is EMC testing, and why should our listeners care?
So EMC testing ensures your hardware doesn't emit electromagnetic interference that could disrupt other devices. Imagine a pacemaker malfunctioning because of interference from a nearby phone.
Right.
That's why planning for EMC testing is crucial, especially for safety-critical AI.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the software side of AI.
Yeah.
But that hardware foundation is just as important, when lives could potentially be at stake.
Absolutely.
So the book covers hardware. What about the software side of things?
The book dives deep into software considerations, helps you translate the EU's AI Act regulations into actionable steps. It covers secure coding practices, data safety, and much more.
Yeah.
These are often overlooked in traditional safety standards, which didn't anticipate the unique challenges of AI.
Data safety is a great point. With AI systems constantly learning and evolving based on data, ensuring that data is, secure and used responsibly is absolutely critical.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, unique challenges of AI, the book tackles two big ones head on.
Yes.
Explainable AI, or XAI, and then safety of the intended functionality,
Right.
or SOTIF.
Yes, these are crucial.
Yeah.
XAI is all about transparency, which is a major focus of the AI Act.
Right.
How do you ensure that your AI's decisions, even those based on, complex algorithms, are understandable to humans? This is especially important when those decisions could have, significant consequences.
Yeah. It's like being able to ask your AI, why did you do that?
Right.
And get a clear, understandable answer, not just a shrug and a bunch of code.
Exactly.
Okay, so XAI is about making AI understandable.
Yeah.
What about SOTIF?
So SOTIF acknowledges that even if your AI works perfectly as programmed, it can still cause harm in unforeseen situations.
Yeah.
Imagine your delivery robot encounters a situation it's never seen before, like a flock of birds blocking the sidewalk. Even with, perfect navigation code, unexpected events can happen, and SOTIF is about anticipating and mitigating those risks.
That's a good point. It's about accounting for those curveballs that the real world inevitably throws at you.
Absolutely.
Especially in a field like AI,
Right.
where systems are constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah.
So we've got the technical aspects, but the book also talks about the people involved in building AI, right?
Yes.
It's not just about the technology itself, but also the human element.
Absolutely.
And Chapter 6 dives into the importance of a strong safety culture within your organization.
Right.
It outlines the roles and responsibilities needed to make safety a priority.
Yeah.
And it also provides a framework for linking specific articles of the AI Act
Right.
to tangible guidelines for building that safety culture.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. You can have the best technology in the world,
Yeah.
but if the people building and using it don't prioritize safety, it's all for nothing.
That's right.
It's like having all the latest safety features in a car.
But
But if the driver's reckless, those features aren't going to prevent an accident.
absolutely.
Speaking of preventing accidents,
Yeah.
I'm curious about, the testing aspect of AI development.
Yeah.
This book doesn't just gloss over that, does it?
Not at all. Chapter 7 is all about testing.
Okay.
It goes deep into planning and executing different types of tests throughout the AI system's lifecycle. It covers everything from unit tests for individual components to integration tests for the entire system, simulations to see how your AI performs in various scenarios, and even regression testing to ensure that updates don't accidentally break something that was working perfectly fine before.
It's like that old saying, Measure twice, cut once,
Yeah.
but for AI development.
That's a good way to think about it.
You want to be extra sure that every change you make is an improvement,
Right.
not a potential safety hazard.
Absolutely.
But all this planning, testing, development,
Yeah.
it ultimately leads to one goal, right?
Right. Yes.
Building a rock-solid safety case
Yes.
for your AI system.
That's right.
And Chapter 8 walks you through that process, right? Taking all that work,
Yeah.
your Agile safety plan, your testing data, your risk analysis, and building a comprehensive safety case.
Right. Showing how everything fits together to argue convincingly that your AI system is safe to use.
Yeah.
It even has an appendix listing over 100 potential documents you might need.
Wow, that's a lot of paperwork. But I guess that's the price of safety when you're dealing with something as potentially impactful as AI.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of impact, what about the companies and developers who aren't building every part of their AI systems from scratch? What if they're like buying off-the-shelf components or working with subcontractors?
That's where Chapter 9 comes in, tackling the often overlooked world of AI procurement.
Okay.
It helps you navigate the complexities of integrating external components into your system, making sure they align with your safety standards, and that all the pieces work together harmoniously from a safety standpoint. It even provides tips on writing agile contracts that emphasize both collaboration and clear legal agreements.
So it's like, even if you buy a perfectly safe component off the shelf, you still need to consider how it interacts with the rest of your system.
Right.
And make sure those interactions don't create, like, new risks.
Absolutely.
And you need, like, clear agreements with your suppliers.
That's right.
To make sure everyone understands their responsibilities when it comes to safety.
Absolutely.
It's all incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface of this book, though.
It's a dense book.
It is a dense book. There's so much more to unpack.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the rest of the book, I think it would be good to take like a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far.
Right.
You know, this book is packed with like practical information, and I feel like we've only just begun to like explore it.
We have.
What are your initial impressions?
I agree. I think the authors have done an excellent job of distilling very complex information into really actionable steps.
Yeah.
It's clear that they understand the challenges that developers are facing, and they've really created a valuable resource for navigating those challenges. I'm eager to dive deeper into the specifics and see how these principles can be applied to real-world projects.
Me too. And for our listeners, think about, you know, the AI systems you're building or using.
Yeah.
What aspects of safety worry you the most?
Right.
How could an agile safety plan, like, address those concerns? Have those questions in mind as we continue our deep dive into this fascinating book.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump back in.
Okay.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork with, you know, agile safety plans, key concepts, and the importance of both hardware and software.
Yeah.
Let's dive back into the book and see how it tackles, like, you know, specific challenges and provide some practical strategies.
Okay.
Chapter 2 really caught my eye. It focuses on building a robust strategy for achieving functional safety.
Right.
Going even deeper into this idea of an agile safety plan. What are your thoughts on this chapter?
I think this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Okay.
The book emphasizes that an agile safety plan, it's not a static document.
Right.
It needs to evolve alongside your project, kind of like a living document that you continuously adapt. It's about having, you know, a set of guiding principles while also being flexible enough to adjust to new information or challenges that arise.
I love that analogy of a living document.
Yeah.
It really captures the essence of agile development, doesn't it?
It does.
And the book suggests using like a minimum viable product or MVP approach for safety itself. It's like applying that core startup principle to the safety plan itself.
Exactly.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Instead of trying to build the perfect comprehensive safety plan from day one, which can be incredibly time-consuming and might even become obsolete as your AI evolves, you start with a smaller, functional version and iterate on it over time. You know, you get something in place quickly and then refine it as you learn more about your system and its operational context.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in the fast-paced world of AI.
Right.
And the book even suggests that this, you know, MVP approach can be applied to the development of the AI system itself, right?
That's right.
starting with a simpler version,
Yes.
maybe with a limited set of features,
Yeah.
and then gradually expanding it as you gain more confidence in its safety.
Exactly. It's about managing risk effectively
Mm-hmm.
by taking an incremental approach.
Yeah.
You test and validate your safety measures at each stage of development rather than waiting till the very end,
Right.
when it might be too late or too costly to make significant changes.
It's like building a bridge, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't just like build the entire thing without testing the structural integrity of each section as you go.
Exactly.
This chapter also emphasizes the importance of scenario-based planning,
Yes.
which
Ah.
which sounds like a great way to kind of anticipate potential problems before they arise.
So scenario-based planning is all about thinking through the different ways your AI could be used or misused and identifying potential hazards or risks associated with each scenario.
Okay, I need an example.
Okay, sure.
My brain is craving a real-world scenario.
Imagine you're building an AI-powered security system for a building.
Okay.
Right. You'd want to consider scenarios like power outages, sensor failures, even potential cyber attacks.
Yeah.
For each scenario, you'd then develop mitigation strategies to minimize the risk of harm.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you have backup power supplies, redundant sensors, or, robust cybersecurity protocols in place.
So it's like a mental chess game where you're trying to think several moves ahead to anticipate your opponents, or in this case, like the risks, next move.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I think this whole idea of continuous risk management seems to be like a recurring theme throughout the book.
Yeah.
It's not just about identifying risks at the beginning of a project,
Right.
but constantly reassessing and adapting as the project evolves.
And that aligns perfectly with the agile philosophy
It does.
we were discussing earlier. It's about embracing change, being open to new information, and being prepared to adjust your safety plan as needed.
As you go.
Okay, let's move on to chapter 3.
Okay.
Which seems to be all about like getting specific. It dives into defining the system, its operational domain, and its concept of operations.
Right.
It feels like this is where we really nail down what our AI is and how it's supposed to function in the real world.
You're right, yeah.
So it's not just about the code, but about how that code manifests in the real world, the interactions it has, and even the people involved.
Absolutely.
And the book stresses that these concepts, the DOS, ODD, and ConOps, they're not just one-time things.
No, not at all.
They need to be reassessed as the system learns and evolves.
Right, and that's especially true in AI.
Makes sense.
It's an ongoing process, not a static document.
Yeah.
The environment changes, the AI learns, and you might even expand the AI's capabilities.
Right.
So you need to adjust your safety plans accordingly.
That makes sense. It's like having like a teenager who starts driving.
Yeah.
You might give them very limited freedoms at first.
Yeah.
But as they gain experience and they show responsibility, you might adjust those boundaries. Now, I know this book doesn't just stay at the high level.
Yeah.
It gets into the nitty-gritty of hardware and software too, right?
It does, and I think that's what makes it so valuable. It bridges that gap between theory and practice.
Yeah.
For instance, it emphasizes choosing the right hardware for your AI, especially if you're building custom components. Did you know that over 90% of hardware products fail their first electromagnetic compatibility, or EMC, test?
Whoa, 90%. That's a scary statistic. What exactly is EMC testing, and why should our listeners care?
So EMC testing ensures your hardware doesn't emit electromagnetic interference that could disrupt other devices.
Okay.
Imagine a pacemaker malfunctioning because of interference from a nearby phone.
Right.
That's why planning for EMC testing is crucial, especially for safety-critical AI.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the software side of AI.
Yeah.
But that hardware foundation is just as important, when lives could potentially be at stake.
Absolutely.
So the book covers hardware. What about the software side of things?
The book dives deep into software considerations, helps you translate the EU's AI Act regulations into actionable steps. It covers secure coding practices, data safety, and much more. These are often overlooked in traditional safety standards, which didn't anticipate the unique challenges of AI.
Data safety is a great point. With AI systems constantly learning and evolving based on data.
Yeah.
Ensuring that data is, secure and used responsibly is absolutely critical.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, unique challenges of AI, the book tackles two big ones, head-on,
Yes.
explainable AI or XAI,
Oh.
and then safety of the intended functionality, or SOTIF.
Yes, these are crucial.
Yeah.
XAI is all about transparency, which is a major focus of the AI Act.
Right.
How do you ensure that your AI's decisions, even those based on, complex algorithms, are understandable to humans? This is especially important when those decisions could have, significant consequences.
Yeah. It's like being able to ask your AI, why did you do that?
Right.
And get like a clear, understandable answer, not just a shrug and a bunch of code.
Exactly.
Okay, so XAI is about making AI understandable.
Yeah.
What about SOTIF?
So SOTIF acknowledges that even if your AI works perfectly as programmed, it can still cause harm in unforeseen situations.
Yeah.
Imagine your delivery robot encounters a situation it's never seen before, like a flock of birds blocking the sidewalk. Even with, perfect navigation code.
Right.
Unexpected events can happen, and SOTIF is about anticipating and mitigating those risks.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's about accounting for those curveballs that the real world inevitably throws at you.
Absolutely.
Especially in a field like AI,
Right.
where systems are constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty technical terms. Can you break those down for me?
Sure.
And explain why they're so important for safety.
Yeah. So modular design basically means breaking down the AI system into smaller, more manageable components or modules that can be independently developed, tested, and verified. It's kind of like building a house with prefabricated rooms instead of constructing everything from scratch on site. Right. Each module has a specific function. And if one module fails, it doesn't necessarily bring down the entire system.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about, containing those potential problems and preventing them from like cascading throughout the entire system.
Exactly.
It's like having like separate circuit breakers for different parts of your house. If one circuit overloads, it doesn't cause the whole house to lose power.
That's a great analogy.
And then redundancy goes hand in hand with modular design.
It does.
It means having, backup systems or components in place.
Right.
So that if one system fails, another one can like take over seamlessly.
That's right. Yeah.
Think of it like having a spare tire in your car.
Yeah.
If you get a flat, you don't have to just like abandon the car.
Exactly.
You just swap out the tire and keep going.
All right. Well,
So redundancy is about building in that extra layer of protection, ensuring that the system can, keep functioning even if a part of it fails.
it is.
What about fail-safe mechanisms?
Right.
What are those all about?
So fail-safe mechanisms are designed to prevent the AI system from causing harm, even if it malfunctions or encounters unexpected situations.
Yeah.
They're like the emergency brakes on a roller coaster.
Okay.
Right? If something goes wrong, the brakes kick in automatically to prevent a disaster.
So fail-safe mechanisms are those last lines of defense.
They are, yeah.
Those safety nets that kick in when all else fails.
Yes.
They're designed to like minimize the potential for harm.
Right.
Even in the worst case scenarios.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the book provides some really interesting examples of how these principles can be applied in practice. It also emphasizes that good system design isn't just about the technical aspects.
Right.
It also needs to consider the human element.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, in the context of safety culture and the con ops.
Right.
But it's also important to like design the system in a way that's intuitive and easy for humans to use.
Absolutely. If the AI system is too complex or confusing or difficult to use, it increases the likelihood of human error, which can compromise safety.
It's like trying to operate a piece of, heavy machinery without proper training. Or a clear understanding of the controls.
Right.
It's an accident waiting to happen.
Exactly.
And the book stresses the importance of, designing user interfaces that are clear, concise, and easy to understand.
That's right.
It also highlights the importance of like providing effective training for users.
Yeah.
So they know how to use the system safely and appropriately.
It's all about making it easy for humans to use the system correctly.
So good design is about more than just, making the system look pretty.
Right.
It's about making it safe.
Yes.
Usable and understandable for the humans who would be interacting with it.
Precisely. It's about designing systems that are both technically sound and human-centered.
Okay, so we've got the design principles down.
Yeah.
But even with a great design, you still need to make sure the system is built correctly and meets all those safety requirements. How does the book address that aspect of the process?
So that's where documentation comes in.
Okay.
Chapter 14 dives into this crucial role of documentation in ensuring the safety of AI systems.
Okay.
And it emphasizes that documentation isn't just about creating a bunch of paperwork to satisfy regulators. It's about creating a clear and traceable record of the decisions that were made throughout the development process, especially those related to safety.
So it's about creating like a paper trail that demonstrates how safety was considered at every step of the process.
Exactly. And the book provides a really helpful breakdown of the different types of documentation that are typically required.
Okay, give me some examples.
Okay, sure.
What kind of documents are we talking about?
We're talking about everything from requirements, specifications that outline exactly what the AI system is supposed to do, to test plans that describe how the system will be tested, to risk assessments that identify potential hazards, and outline mitigation strategies.
So it's about documenting like every aspect of the system.
It is, yeah.
From the initial concept to the testing procedures to the risk mitigation strategies.
That's right.
And the book also emphasizes the importance of keeping that documentation up to date.
Yes.
As the system evolves and changes are made.
That's right.
Right? Because outdated documentation is pretty much useless.
It is.
And it could even create new risks.
Yeah.
If people are relying on information that's no longer accurate.
Yeah.
It's like using an old map to navigate a city that's undergone major construction.
Exactly.
You might end up getting lost or even, running into a dead end.
That's a great analogy.
And the book provides some good tips on how to manage documentation effectively, including, using version control systems and automated documentation tools to keep everything organized and up to date.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about design and documentation.
Okay.
What about the human element of like actually using the AI system?
That's a crucial aspect of safety, and Chapter 15 delves into the human factors that need to be considered when designing and deploying AI systems.
Right. We've talked about the importance of considering the human element throughout this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
But this chapter seems to focus specifically on like how humans interact with the AI system itself.
It does. It acknowledges that even the most sophisticated AI system is only as safe as the humans who interact with it. It's like having a state-of-the-art airplane with all the latest safety features. But if the pilot makes a mistake or misinterprets the instruments, it can still lead to an accident.
So you could have a self-driving car with like perfect object detection and collision avoidance systems. But if the human driver isn't paying attention or misunderstands how to engage those systems properly, accidents can still happen.
Absolutely.
And this chapter provides a really insightful exploration of the human factors that need to be considered in AI design, drawing on fields like cognitive psychology, human-computer interaction, and even ergonomics.
Yeah, so it's a very multidisciplinary chapter.
Okay, so we're talking about like, understanding how humans think, behave, and interact with technology.
Absolutely.
What are some of the key considerations the book highlights?
So it talks about things like cognitive load, which refers to the amount of mental effort required to use a system. Right. So if the system is too complex or demanding, it can overload the user's cognitive capacity, increasing the likelihood of errors.
So it's about designing, AI systems that are mentally manageable, that don't overwhelm the user with too much information or require them to make like split-second decisions that they're not equipped to handle.
That's right.
It also emphasizes the importance of situational awareness.
Yes.
Which is the user's understanding of like what's happening around them and how their actions might impact the system.
That's right.
So for like a self-driving car, that would mean ensuring the driver understands when it's safe to engage the autonomous driving features. What situations might require them to take over manual control and how to monitor the system's performance.
Precisely. And it also talks about the importance of aligning the AI system's behavior with the user's mental models, which are their internal representations of how the system works.
So if the AI system behaves in a way that's like unexpected or contradicts the user's understanding of how it should work, it can lead to confusion and potentially dangerous situations.
Exactly.
The book stresses that, good design needs to take those mental models into account to create a system that feels intuitive and predictable for users.
Yes.
This is all incredibly insightful, and it really underscores the interconnectedness of the human and technological aspects of AI safety.
It does.
Okay, so we've discussed design, documentation, and human factors.
Yeah.
What about the process of formally demonstrating that an AI system is safe?
Yeah.
I know the EU's AI Act requires a safety case.
It does.
For high-risk AI systems.
That's right.
What exactly is a safety case, and how does this book help developers create one?
So you're right. A safety case is a crucial requirement for high-risk AI systems under the AI Act. And Chapter 16 provides a really comprehensive guide to creating a robust and compelling safety case. Think of the safety case as a comprehensive argument that persuasively demonstrates that your AI system is safe to use within its intended operational domain. It's like presenting a legal defense for your AI system safety to a jury of regulators, users, and the public.
Okay, so it's not just about saying, trust us, our AI is safe.
Right, exactly.
You need to back that up with solid evidence. What kind of evidence goes into a safety case?
So the safety case needs to include a thorough description of the AI system, its intended uses, the potential hazards it might pose, the safety measures you've implemented to mitigate those hazards, and most importantly, the evidence that those safety measures are actually effective.
So it's a combination of documentation, test results, risk assessments, and any other evidence that supports your claim that this system is safe to use?
That's right.
It sounds like a pretty substantial document.
It can be quite extensive, especially for complex AI systems.
Especially for complex systems,
But the book, breaks down the process into manageable steps, right?
It does.
Providing clear guidance on how to address each element of the safety case.
That's right.
And what kind of evidence is needed to support your claims.
Exactly.
That's really helpful. It's like having a step-by-step guide to building that legal defense for your AI system's safety.
That's a good analogy.
And the book also emphasizes the importance of involving independent experts in the safety assessment process, right?
Yeah, that's a crucial aspect of building a credible safety case.
Having independent experts, review your design, your testing procedures, your risk assessments.
It just, adds a layer of, objectivity.
It does.
And helps ensure that your safety case is thorough and impartial.
Exactly. And it helps build trust with regulators and the public, demonstrating that you're committed to transparency and that you're not just trying to, rubber stamp your own work.
Okay, so we've got the safety case covered. But as we've discussed throughout this whole deep dive, AI is a constantly evolving field.
It is.
What happens when you need to make changes to your AI system after you've already, created your safety case?
That's a great question, and Chapter 17 addresses that directly. It focuses on planning for modifications and updates to AI systems and how to ensure that those changes don't compromise safety or invalidate the existing safety case.
Right, because it wouldn't make sense to create this meticulous safety case and then just start making changes to the system willy-nilly without considering the potential impact on safety. That's right,
The book emphasizes the importance of having a clear and well-defined change management process in place.
It does.
To evaluate proposed changes,
Yeah.
assess their potential impact on safety, and update the safety case accordingly.
Absolutely.
So it's like having a system of checks and balances to make sure that any changes to the AI system are made like thoughtfully.
That's right.
And with, safety in mind.
Exactly. And it stresses the importance of communication and collaboration throughout this process.
Okay.
Any changes to the system need to be clearly documented and communicated to all stakeholders, including developers, testers, regulators, and even end users.
So it's about transparency.
It is.
And keeping everyone in the loop about any changes that might affect, the system's safety or performance.
Exactly.
And the book also highlights the value of using version control systems to track like changes
Yes.
to the AI system's code. Yeah.
And documentation, making it easy to see what changes were made, when they were made,
Yeah.
and who made them.
It's a very helpful practice.
It's like having like a detailed history
It is, yeah.
of the AI system's like evolution,
Yeah.
making it easier to like understand how it's changed over time and to identify like any potential sources of problems.
Absolutely.
And this level of traceability is essential for maintaining safety and accountability
It is.
as AI systems evolve and adapt to new challenges.
That's right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We talk about agile safety plans, key design principles, the importance of documentation and testing, the human element of AI safety,
Right.
and the process of creating a safety case.
It's been a very thorough deep dive.
It has been a thorough deep dive.
Yeah.
But one thing we haven't discussed yet is like the practical aspect of procuring like components or services for AI systems.
That's right.
Does the book address that?
It does. Chapter 18 dives into the world of AI procurement,
Okay.
recognizing that building complex AI systems
Yeah.
often involves working with external suppliers or subcontractors.
Right.
And it emphasizes that the choices you make about who you work with and what you buy
Right.
can have a huge impact on the safety and reliability of your AI system.
Right. Because even if you've done everything right
Yeah.
in terms of design, development, testing, if you integrate a faulty component
Right.
or rely on a supplier
Yeah.
who doesn't share your commitment to safety, it could undermine all your hard work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this chapter provides some really valuable guidance, I think,
As says.
on navigating the complexities of AI procurement
Yeah.
from a safety perspective.
That's right.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of the key takeaways?
So it stresses the importance of doing your due diligence when selecting suppliers. It's not enough to just go with the cheapest option.
Right.
Or the supplier who promises the most features.
Yeah.
You need to carefully evaluate their safety track record, their development processes, and their commitment to building safe and reliable products.
So it's like doing a background check
Yeah.
on potential suppliers.
It is.
You want to make sure they're like reputable, trustworthy, and have a proven track record of delivering high quality, safe products.
That's right.
The book even suggests looking for like certifications or accreditations that demonstrate a supplier's commitment to like specific safety standards or best practices.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like looking for like a seal of approval
Yeah.
from a trusted third party.
Exactly.
What else does the book recommend when it comes to AI procurement?
It also highlights the importance of clear contracts and agreements with suppliers, outlining the safety responsibilities of each party, and establishing clear lines of communication and accountability.
So it's not just about choosing the right suppliers, but also about establishing like clear expectations and responsibilities from the outset.
In the beginning, yep.
And it even goes so far as to suggest using those agile contracts we discussed earlier to ensure like flexibility and adaptation as the project evolves.
That's right.
That's interesting. So even in the world of like procurement,
Yeah.
the principles of agile development can be applied to enhance collaboration, communication, and safety.
Exactly. It's about building a strong partnership with your suppliers, not just a transactional relationship. You're all working together towards a shared goal of building a safe and reliable AI system.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
From the high-level principles of agile safety to the practical considerations of design, documentation, procurement.
It's been very comprehensive.
What are your final thoughts of this book, and what key takeaways would you like our listeners to remember?
I think this book is just a valuable resource for anyone involved in building or deploying AI systems.
Yeah.
It really provides a comprehensive and practical roadmap for navigating this very complex world of AI safety. I think the key takeaway is that safety is not an afterthought or a checkbox to tick off.
Yeah.
It needs to be woven into the very fabric of the AI development process from day one.
Right from the beginning.
And it requires a collaborative, multidisciplinary approach, bringing together engineers, ethicists, legal experts, and other stakeholders to ensure that AI systems are not only innovative, but also safe, responsible, and beneficial to society.
Well said. This book has been a real eye-opener for me, and I hope our listeners have found it as insightful and informative as I have.
I hope so, too.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And a huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.